Oh, we talked about the UIW game already. So just a short workout, keep our legs under us, get our reps in. And I think we play Oklahoma this weekend, so we'll get ready for that one.
Sounds good. Guys, go ahead and put up your raised hand functions and we'll go through some questions. Start with Joe Cook.
Coach, I know going into the year, there's only 3 outfield spots, but you had 4 guys for it. And now that Austin's gone and Doug has kind of stepped into that place and is actually playing every day, how have you seen him change at all, or has he changed at all with how he's approached it now that he's starting most of these games?
Well, when you look at EK, Antico, and Hodo, you have 3 center fielders, and they're interchangeable. I think all 3 of them can step in and play center. The reason why we keep Doug in right is similar to the reason why we kept Austin in right, because he handles that place. He handles right field really well, and it's a tough outfield here at the Dish, and it just coordinates better. I don't see Mike moving to right ever, but I could see EK moving to center as we did the other night. When you look at the option of Dylan Campbell, and then Pete Gabb has spent some time in right field as well. But we're also looking at other options. Ivan Melendez really swings the bat well against left-handed pitching, so that's a viable option. So we just continue to look at different combinations of how people can either come off the bench, start, or match up.
And then with Doug, again, specifically, you basically put him right into Austin's spot. So how do you think he's done so far with getting thrown right into the top of the order?
Yeah, I think you guys know him since I've been around for now 5 years. I like speed 1, 2, and 3. I'm not real crazy about a guy that doesn't run well in the 3 hole. So constantly looked at how to utilize those 3 guys. I love EK in the 2, and so it's either Doug in the 1 or in the 3 potentially. He and Mike are both table setters, but just that pressure, I think he's done really well. I would like to see him cut down some strikeouts, but continue to see pitches the way he does. He handles the drag bunt really well. He handles the hit and run well. And we really feel like when he gets pitches, he can drive the ball in the gap. So I think he's done great. And, that's a lot of pressure going from the bench to hitting in the leadoff with a really good team. So I think he's handled it really well.
Danny, go ahead.
David, what are your overall impressions of this Oklahoma team? What do you think they do well?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is their free pass to strikeouts. I think they have 115 base on balls, 27 hit by pitch. So it's 142 to 155, which is a very good ratio of a -13. And so you have to make pitches. I feel like their approach is somewhat zone orientated, and they're pretty disciplined and have a very good plate recognition. So that's something we're going to have to attack the zone with quality pitches. On the pitching staff, I know their stuff is better than their numbers. They've had a couple of games where, honestly, the game got out of hand and they gave up a lot of runs in a couple of games. But overall, they've got power stuff. They'll go right, left. Skip's going to always try to match up. He's always got left-handers in his bullpen. So they're going to they'll play the matchup game. And then defensively, not a ton of speed, but a lot of good base runners. Not a ton of speed in the outfield, but very solid in the outfield. Defensively, they make the routines. Fielding percentage is okay. I think their range could be tested, but I think they're going to make the routine play. And then just looking at their offense as well, Hardiman's having a great year, and they've got some other guys working around him. So we're just going to have to pitch and play defense, and then we're going to have to swing the bat to beat them.
Dustin, go ahead.
David, you've mentioned now a couple of times with Pete, kind of the way the ball's coming out of his hand, kind of cutting that fastball unintentionally, and maybe the breaking ball is kind of blending together at times. So what's the process for you guys in terms of trying to help him, I guess, correct that? Because there's only so much he could throw in a week with the Tuesday start and the pitch count or whatever. So are you guys kind of showing him some video of the way it comes out of his hand? Are you guys getting him into the bullpen, or what's kind of the process that goes into trying to correct that so that next time he goes out there, he's a little bit closer to kind of getting that feel again?
I think it starts with catch play and filling the ball a little bit more off of his index finger, and then feeling the same thing when he gets into long toss. But I think more than anything, getting into his natural slot. And if he can fill his natural slot over and over, playing catching in his long toss, now being able to take that over to the mound. And he's been a slow process, really, because he's a former basketball player, so he's athletic. So you would think it's a little simpler to just jump into. So hopefully he's not protecting something. His communication with Sean has been good. The time that they spend is just kind of path, video, everything that you brought up. But he's just going to have to get to that point where he's getting the ball away from his ear and feeling the hand speed and the feel on his fingers. And right now it's just taking some time. But I leave that up to Sean and Pete mostly, and then kind of get feedback from them. So specifically, I would probably have to go back with Sean and say, hey, what exactly are you guys doing? And right now, I feel really confident where he is. The thing that's been improving every week is his command, and a lot of confidence in his slider and really glove side. We've got to get him to get his feel on arm side. And if he can get his feel on arm side, it's just going to open some things up. Whether the velo continues to follow or not, if he can just feel the ball coming off of his index a little bit more to feel the two seam, to at least utilize that to set up the left side fastball slider.
Roger, you're up.
Hey, David, you guys saw a really good atmosphere up in Waco, and I'm sure your guys fed off it as much as, Baylor. How excited are they and you to have OU this weekend, nice weather, and, looking more and more like a normal baseball crowd and atmosphere?
No, I thought it was awesome just to play in front of people. And you're right. I think the kids fed off of it. But, we don't really talk a lot about if it's Oklahoma or Baylor or whomever's coming in, because the kids know. I mean, they know what's coming up. It's exciting. I'd love to see a big crowd. I know our weather's going to be solid. And I just want to see us go out and play clean baseball and enjoy the competition and really just compete. Crowd always gives you a little extra. It's fun. I mean, you play OU, Texas, big play, and you hear the crowd, it takes that momentum into the dugout. So they'll feed off of it. They'll be pumped up and ready to go.
Got one last one. Danny, go ahead.
David, kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier off of Joe's questions. Would you like to be in a situation where some of those other options step up and you can play the matchup game with your outfielders, or would you prefer to have those three guys, that's their job, and you have some nice backup options?
No, we're getting deep enough where you start looking at splits now and see how guys are performing against left rights. And so you'll see a taste of that this weekend. So we feel like there's some guys on the bench that are good enough to play every day. And then we start looking at some splits, some matchups. I don't think anybody's ever going to just settle in and stay there unless they're performing. And I think that's the key. The other piece of that is how they handle sitting and what they look into, if they miss a game, or do they overthink it? Now they start going into the tank. So it's a lot of psychological stuff for everyday players that miss a game. And sometimes, most of the time, it's not even about them. It's much more about the other player. Perfect example is Dylan Campbell. I mean, Dylan has shown that he can hit. He's a good infielder, but he's not a starter. He's a good outfielder. He hadn't been out there enough. But we feel like we can utilize him even in the DH this weekend. So You'll start seeing it, I think, more and more, just for the simple fact that we have a little more information. And, you know, unless guys just take off and they're not willing to give up that job.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
All right, see you guys.
Hey, guys, hang tight. We've got Mitch Daley coming next.
Mitch, at the beginning of the season, you were on the bench. So when you finally got that opportunity to, make some plays, and then you started making more and more, when did you kind of start to get comfortable with your role here in your first year?
Coach, the whole coaching staff really does a good job of stressing that, you need to prepare like, you're starting every game. So going into, those games, I wasn't doing anything different. I had the same mentality and preparation, and the older players actually did a great job and sharing their experiences and sharing their emotions with the whole situation. So, it really made it easy on me to kind of jump into the role that I have. So, I just credit them, and yeah, so I'm starting to feel comfortable, and then, the preparation doesn't stop, and it's always the same mentality of work hard and get better every day.
Dustin, go ahead.
Yeah, Mitchell, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were primarily a shortstop in high school. What's that transformation been like moving over to second base? Have you really noticed any sort of change? I know the throws and the angles of the throws are going to be different, but in terms of positioning and fielding the ball, was it just an easy transformation for you?
I played a little bit of second, through middle school and growing up, so it wasn't too hard of a transition. I feel comfortable on both sides of, the middle infield, and so it hasn't really been too difficult. And, Tua's done a great job, and, some of the older guys like Murph have done a great job in answering any questions that I've had.
Danny, go ahead.
Mitchell, what do you know about the Texas-Oklahoma rivalry? And I'm kind of wondering, have you been telling your Texas teammates, the kids born in Texas, that, hey, this isn't as big as Alabama, Auburn?
Oh no, it's always a big series, especially across the country. Everybody knows the Texas Oklahoma, but I think as a team we're really just looking at it as another game and another opportunity to get better. So it's not too much about who we're playing; it's more about us. So.
And since you've taken over, the second base job, how much have you been pushed by Dylan? How much have you been pushed by Murphy? What is, because I'm sure those guys want playing time still. What is that like in practice between all y'all?
Oh, it's definitely, they're always working hard, and we're always going out there as a team, and everybody's competing, so you never really feel comfortable because you got, guys like DC and Murph, that, like you said, are want that job as well. So, it's all really healthy competition. It's good to keep you, push you, and just keep getting better, like I said.
Dustin, go ahead.
You're from SEC territory, as Danny was alluding to. I think you have a brother that goes to Auburn. So how did Texas pull you out of there? What was it about Texas that made you pick things? I know you're a guy that was in very high demand in that area.
Yeah, I actually played in a travel ball tournament here a couple summers back, and my dad, we just wanted to check out the campus, and instantly I just kind of fell in love with everything, and the feel, and then I got the opportunity to meet Coach Pierce and the coaching staff, and really just felt like it was a really natural fit. And, I just credit God for that, just putting me where I think I belong, really.
Joe, go ahead.
You kind of touched on this, but like whenever we ask these questions, and for basketball players, even football players, like, do you get charged up? But I know for baseball that doesn't help. Is that a message that the coaches have given y'all, or is that something that y'all kind of have in y'all's head already?
I don't think it's not something we ever really fight. It's good to have that because it means you care. And like Coach Miller always says, you don't have a heartbeat if you're not a little nervous, but it's something that we really stress on controlling, and just really just making our best effort to feel that, and then control it, and then settle down. We do a lot of meditation and stuff like that. Just kind of, just really just control that. Yes, sir.
Danny, you're up.
What is it like kind of having a Trey as your, middle infield partner? And I'm wondering, when you're at second base and you see him make a play, or you see Cam make a play at third, does that put any pressure on you that you need to go, get a highlight of Web Gym out there?
No, there's really no pressure, but it's awesome to see them make those kind of plays. Me and Trey are really good friends off the field, so that kind of dynamic has just really come naturally, with us up the middle. But it's awesome to see him make those plays. And, I push him in practice and we push each other like, hey, you can make that play. All right, we'll watch this, so like I said, it's all just really healthy and it just keeps getting better.
Got one last one. Jeff, go ahead.
Mitch, I'm really interested in the meditation sessions you just brought up. What do those look like? How often? Who leads them? Just kind of take me there.
It's something that Tulo kind of implemented. We just kind of lay down and think about the game and just kind of visualize a lot of stuff. So, that we kind of do that before every game really. And it just helps us get our minds right and kind of control those emotions like I was saying.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, Cole, what's allowed you to have more consistency so far this year? It seems like whether it's the angle of your fastball or the shape of your breaking ball, just every time you've been on the mound, everything seems really consistent right now.
Yeah, I had an exit meeting at the end of the fall with Coach Pierce and Coach Allen, kind of giving me an outline of things that I needed to work on. And so over Christmas break, I really took the time, trained with Tristan, who helped me a lot as well. Really just focusing on the finer details of my delivery, my mental game, and just really honing in on getting consistent with my fastball command so that my other pitches, my curveball, my changeup can play off of that, when I'm on the mound, so I don't have to think about it. More being in the moment rather than just trying to okay, my delivery's feeling a little off, just really focusing on attacking the hitter, keeping it as simple as possible.
Danny, go ahead.
Well, as one of the vets now in the and what has been your impression of the young pups like Aaron and Tanner?
Oh, I love them. They're awesome. They bring a lot of energy to the team. They're always, smiling on the field. You can also learn a lot from them too. I've learned how to enjoy the game a little bit more with Aaron and Tanner, and also trying to give them little feedback here and there of, things they need to work on, trying to help them out when they're about to come into the game, or like situations that they might face, just reassuring them that, their pitches are better than any hitter in the box and stuff like that. But yeah, being around them is awesome.
You know him. I mean, he lists Cedar Park as his hometown. He went to a private school in Austin. But do you know Jason Ruffcorn at all?
I'm familiar with him. I think he went to Hyde Park or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we never played each other in high school. But I was familiar with him, knew who he was, but I never really became acquainted with him.
Okay. And you mentioned him a second ago, but what is Tristan's importance among the pitchers? I mean, what is his status as the old guy on the staff? He's a reliever, been a reliever, starts now. What is his status among y'all?
A lot of us definitely look up to him and his mentality. Every time he goes out there on the mound, he's going to put up a fight. And, it's a testament to everything that he's worked on in the offseason as well. Just showing how mentally tough he is when things don't go his way. He doesn't ever seem to get rattled. And so I feel like a lot of us learn from him in that sense. When things aren't going your way, you give up a little base hit that you can't control, just get back on the mound and keep going.
Dustin, go ahead.
Cole, throughout your career, you've been a guy that's kind of filled some different roles. You've been stretched out at times, kind of as a potential starter, back end guy. Does it help now knowing that you've kind of got your role figured out? You know how these guys are going to use you throughout the weekend?
It helps a little bit. Coach Pierce always talks about, roles are never set. So it can be a little confusing, but, I just try to make sure the younger guys know in the pen just to always be ready, because, never know when your number is going to be called. And, if a situation pops up in the game where the starter is facing some adversity or trouble, just stay mentally locked in and ready, so that when the phone rings, they tell whether Nixon or Tanner or anybody else to warm up, that it's go time, and just always be ready.
Jeff Jones, go ahead.
Well, what does this rivalry mean to you?
I was never a huge OU Texas rivalry person growing up, but after being in college, it's definitely it's a pride thing for sure. especially them coming to the dish, just wanting to win no matter what, whether it's pretty or ugly. But definitely coming out here with a sweep this weekend would be huge for us. Also please the fans a little bit, make the fans happy.
Thanks.
Danny, go ahead.
Speaking of fans, Cole, I'm kind of wondering, what is it, mindset wise, what has it been like for student athletes to start the season? There were no fans in some stadiums you went to, limited in others. Baylor started to let more people in last week. There's probably going to be more people starting to show up at the dish, especially for a weekend like this. What is it like for you as student athletes to start seeing these stands start to get back to maybe not full capacity, but maybe a little bit back to normal?
Personally, I love it when the stands are packed. It was a little weird in the beginning, playing in front of like 1,000 people, especially because the dish is so big. 1,000 people seems like there's like 4 people in the stands, but it's definitely starting to feel like baseball season again. Especially at Baylor, it felt like their stadium was close to being sold out, and just the energy that the fans bring to the game is definitely something that I enjoy personally. I know the team loves when they make great plays and the fans go crazy. So